Good afternoon, Year 6, and welcome to your geography lesson. So let's just start off where we need to be. And our topic for today is to identify the countries that make up Oceania or Australasia and their capital cities. So this is following on from last week. Let's just have a little rewind about what you learned last week. So can you name those 7 continents? Have a little think back. Can you name them all? Pause the video. Have a little look in your book. Okay, let's see if you got them all. So we've got North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Africa, Antarctica, and Australasia, Oceania. And that's what we're going to be looking at over the next few weeks. You also talked about what the equator was and what the Tropic of Capricorn was. So hopefully you've got a definition for each of those. And if I just swap cameras, you might have, let me stop the share as well, because that will then give you the full screen. So you might have got some information about what the equator was, what the Tropic of Capricorn was, and the Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, and the equator. They're all imaginary lines, and you had a little go at drawing them on your map. Here's my version. So we've got the equator going through the middle. Then we've got the Tropic of Cancer at the top, the Tropic of Capricorn at the bottom. We also had these other 2 areas. We had the Arctic Circle at the top and the Antarctic Circle at the bottom. So we're going to be mainly focusing on this area, Australasia. So let me go back to sharing my screen. And move on to the next slide. So we're going to be looking and trying to identify the capital cities. So most of Australia and Oceania is actually in the Pacific Ocean, which is why it's called Oceania. So we're going to have a go at drawing Australia, the shape of Australia, and the island of Tasmania at the bottom there, and New Zealand. And depending on what map you use, there are quite a lot of islands here. We're only just going to identify 2 or 3 because it will be too many to draw the whole lot. Because if I show you the next slide, there's all these little islands, and that's far too many to have a little go at drawing. So I'm going to show you, or I'm going to have a go rather. I'm going to find the next page in my book to have a go at drawing Australia. So I'm going to take up most of my page. I'm going to start towards down the bottom here and roughly draw the shape of Australia. Of course, it doesn't have to be exact, but as long as we get the idea of the shape. I'm looking at the map all the time, just having a good go at trying to draw Australia. That's not too bad. And then I need to make sure I've got Tasmania down the bottom. And then to the right of that, there is New Zealand. There are 2 parts to New Zealand, so that's the bottom part. Oh, there's a little bit right at the bottom there. I need to make sure I've got that in. And then there's the top part, which looks to me a little bit like a hammer. So not too bad. And then I've just circled on the map these 3 areas here, which they're the main ones that we're going to add in. So coming back to my drawing, let me make my drawing a little bit bigger. No, I need to draw them first so that I can actually see them, otherwise I won't see them. So above New Zealand, we've got that sort of shape. And then there looks like there's a few individual islands near that. And then these ones are a little bit thinner. Looks like there's 4 of those. So I'm going to have a go at doing that. And then above that, there's 2 other islands there. So I'm going to go back to... So that's sort of had a little look at mine. Let's just go back to the map that you can see. And if I put... Ooh, where are we? If I put that one back on, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I've got the main country of Australia in, and I've got Tasmania. I've got the 2 parts of New Zealand, and I am looking at Fuji, which is this one here. Fuji, I've got Fuji, Tonga, and Samoa. They're the 3 additional ones that I've got here. So while I've got that map, I'm going to label those. Fuji and Samoa. Well, it's a bit tricky writing the opposite way. Oh, I've put an E, not an, should be an A, Samoa. And then I've got New Zealand here. New Zealand. And if I wanted to do a label with a rule, if you happen to have one, do that. And identify. Oh, I've not done that one. That one was Tonga. Those set of islands rather than individual. There. And then I've just got Australia. I might draw a line first for that one. I can do Australia. Okay, so let me just... Okay, so hopefully you've got all your countries labelled and we can move on. So we're going to have a little look at some next slides that will give us some information about the capitals of each of those countries. I just bring this one up and just make it a little bit bigger if I go over that one. That's when you can see there's quite a lot of very small islands that also are part of Oceania, which is why I've just picked out 3, because it would be too difficult to draw all those tiny little islands. But just so that you know, there are lots of islands in Oceania. So the first one we're going to look at is Australia. And you can see on the map that there are 3 cities that are actually marked. I wonder if anybody knows which one of those 3 is the capital. So you can pause the video, you can have a little read of the information, and that will then tell you which one is the capital. So, which one is it? A lot of you probably thought Sydney, but Canberra or Canberra is the capital of Australia. I move on to New Zealand. Again, you can see on the map there's the 2 islands, and again it's got 2 main cities that most people might have heard of. So pause the video, have a little read of the information, we'll find out which one is the capital city. So Wellington is the capital city of New Zealand. And then I'm going to give you the other 3, because even I had to go on the internet to find out what they were called and how you pronounced them. So the capital of Fuji is Suva. That's how we pronounce it, Suva. Capital of Tonga is Nuku'alofa. Nuku'alofa. And the capital of Samoa is Apia. So we can then add those on to our map in our book. We can add those capital cities